afternoon. When I was driving up from Milwaukee Thursday night, I found myself with a big smile on my face. I had found the classic country radio station and I was singing, and I had a big smile feeling like I was coming home. So it's really cool to be here and sharing these ideas with you. Like Nick said, I'm going to focus on how cities will thrive when clean energy is conventional. So I grew up in chilly Wisconsin. Not as exotic as it first sounded. But I grew up, it's a tiny town in central Wisconsin. I grew up exploring the woods behind my parents' house and fishing in the cranberry bogs. But cities were always, there's this mysterious energy about it, and I've always been drawn to it. And I've been really excited and happy to be in Milwaukee as leading kind of part of the change at the city level and a shift in our priorities at the city level. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit with switching our connections. It's starting in places like the Milwaukee School of Engineering. This is one of the residence halls that now has, solar heating. All right, so you're all paying attention. So as communities, we're going to switch our connections so we don't have our connections to the dirty fossil fuels, that we don't have the connections to air pollution and dirtying our waters, that we can have healthy air for our community. Right now, it looks kind of confusing for Milwaukee. We have our utility factories for We Energies. We get our coal from a number of different states, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. They have investments in coal or mountaintop removal in West Virginia. Those are our dirty connections that we're responsible for. And when we switch the connections, it's right on our house. It's a nice Milwaukee home. You walk outside, that makes sense when you start turning on the lights, when you have your refrigerator running, you know what's powering it. That means it also is going to change our economy, and that's huge. In Milwaukee, it's making a big difference in what we make. So the clean energy economy is going to change how we make things and what we make. Not just solar panels like at Helios Solar Works, which is down in the Menominee Valley in Milwaukee, but exactly. They made an investment in the community, but all of the components that go into that. And the distribution chain. Caleffi Solar has their North American solar hot water distribution facility in Milwaukee. They're getting that to rooftops around the country. And so it's connecting those employees who want to work to jobs that they can be proud of. We're also not going to be satisfied. We're going to be doing research. Milwaukee School of Engineering is working with Solar Skies panels from over in Minnesota, doing research on how to improve the technology and how to make it better in the long run so we can improve efficiency and make it easier and more affordable to install. All of that that's inspiring engineering students and younger students who are touring all of those facilities. So the clean energy economy, it's simply going to be what we do. We're going to be having people that are going to do it every day. We talked about green jobs. It's something that politicians across the country desperately want to hang their hat on, but it's more, in my opinion, it's more than just a name of a job. Each and every one of us want to be able to have a job that we take pride in. And so it's bringing dignity and pride back to all of those jobs in every single one of our communities. How we eat. Clean energy economy is going to change what we eat, how we eat, and how we see ourselves in that system. So changing that food economy. Folks like Growing Power are changing how we think about not only where that food comes from, but how we grow it with solar electric and solar hot water. And once we can crack the nut of figuring out how do we extend our seasons in northern climates, and looking at how we can make that local food affordable for all of our communities, we can expand places like Sweetwater Organics, where they're in an abandoned, unused factory in Milwaukee trying to grow local food, local fish. But we need to have that crack the energy nut, and by using clean energy locally, that's going to be able to make it more viable across the country. Talked about vehicles. The first retail Nissan Leaf was sold in the state of Wisconsin. It's in Milwaukee, powered by solar. That's how it's supposed to work. So we're starting that change as far as our transportation. That just happened last week. So Chris Eichmann's very excited about it. One of the most important things for me is that seeing how the clean energy economy can, see I talk with my hands and I got glasses, hold on. It can transform our neighborhoods, and it's happening one person at a time. The Midwest Renewable Energy Association works with the Milwaukee Community Service Corps by doing training with neighborhood groups, with folks that may not have been able to succeed in a traditional high school setting or a tech school. These are folks who are invested in their neighborhoods. A number of these gentlemen who have their solar thermal installation certificate or their entry-level certificate from NABCEP, they're getting trained at high-quality standards. A number of them came up to the Energy Fair for the first year, and a gentleman last night, Lucian, he said, I have a feeling that this weekend just changed the direction of my entire life. So they're inspired, and the key is they're going to go back. We have 72 different neighborhoods within the city of Milwaukee, and we have different parts. There are people who live in, South Milwaukee or live in Bayview that never go to another part of the city. So if we can get into all 72 different parts of the neighborhood, that's how we're going to have solar, because you're going to know your installer. You're going to know your neighbor who installed solar, and that's how it works. It's not necessarily just all of the financing schemes and making it as cheap as possible, but when you're able to know your installer, all of the installers that are in the room, the homeowners are excited, they share photos with you, and then they also have their neighbors that are also excited. They want to know what you're doing, and then you teach and you tell them how great it is, and that becomes part of the change of making it conventional. And when we're all connected to our energy and those sources of how it changed transportation and food, it also changes our relationships and connects us to each other. Maybe the most important challenge or opportunity, depending on your approach, is when clean energy is conventional, we will have administrations, whether it's at the city level or state level, that lead by example. We try to do that. We're trying to do that in Milwaukee. We have fire stations that have solar hot water on it. We're trying to do a number of those that included training for future installers. We installed a 100 kW wind system, the North Wind 100, on our Port of Milwaukee building, not only to power our building, which is cranking out some serious power, which is awesome, but also as a beacon for that clean economy that we want in Wisconsin. The majority of that system was built in Wisconsin. The tower, and then all of the hands that put it up together. So administrations, businesses will be leading by example, and we'll be sharing. We're going to be sharing our experiences and our inspiration across political boundaries, because if it's a good idea, it's going to be a good idea for each and every one of us. We're going to share it beyond income boundaries, rural, urban. We're going to be sharing that throughout the state and throughout the country. We're closer than we think. There's solar on the state capitol. There's going to be solar in all of our communities, and I think it's just being able to bring everybody together. I know we're talking about when clean energy is conventional, but most of the photos from the slide today, I wanted to show you what's already happening. And so it's just the beginning of where we're headed. And so just like I felt like I was coming home, I hope now that we're at the end of the weekend, we're all going to be inspired and take some of the information back home with us and start making it a reality. Thanks.